Mother died today. Or maybe yesterday. I can't be sure.
Wow. It's so stark, isn't it? I mean, it's probably the most famous opening line in 20th century literature.
Yeah, exactly. And right there, in just those few words, you have the entire DNA of the character we're about to get into.
Yeah.
It's blunt. It's cold.
It completely rejects how we're supposed to talk about death.
Welcome back to the deep dive. Today we are stepping into the blinding sun of Algiers to really dismantle Albert Camus's classic, The Stranger. We're looking at the Stuart Gilbert translation.
A great one.
And I'll be honest, I read this back in school and I thought, okay, weird guy kills someone, goes to jail. But rereading it for this, it really hit me differently. It's unsettling. It feels like the book is daring you to judge him.
That is the trap Camus sets for us.
Yeah.
Absolutely. The Stranger came out in 1942, so right in the middle of the Second World War. The world was fracturing, old certainties were just crumbling, and here comes this story about a man, Merhesal, who just refuses to play along.
Right. Refuses to play the game.
Exactly. It's a short novel, but it is incredibly dense with philosophy.
And the atmosphere. We have to talk about the setting. Algiers. The heat isn't just background noise.
No, it's a character.
It feels like it's physically assaulting everyone.
It really does.
Yeah.
The environment is practically the antagonist of the story.
Yeah.
The sun, the glare, he talks about the symbols of the sun crashing down. It drives the action more than any, human emotion does.
So our protagonist, Meursault, he's a shipping clerk. An ordinary guy.
Totally ordinary. He's not a villain in the mustache twirling sense, and he's certainly not a hero. He's just present.
He's a guy who seems to lack a filter between what he feels and what he does. Or, I don't know, maybe he just lacks the filter that tells him what he's supposed to feel.
That's a crucial distinction. Meursault acts as if the social contract just doesn't exist. You know how we all have these unwritten rules?
Oh, yeah.
If someone dies, you cry. If someone says, I love you, you say it back.
Yeah.
Meursault doesn't do that. He is brutally, almost robotically honest about his own physical sensations.
So our mission today is to unpack how this ordinary, detached man ends up being condemned to death. And here's the kicker, and we'll get into the weeds on this. It really feels like he isn't condemned for the murder he commits. He's condemned because he didn't cry at his mother's funeral.
It sounds absurd, but that is literally the legal strategy used against him. So let's start there. The book opens with that death. His mother has died at a home for aged persons in Marengo, which is like 80 kilometers away.
And right away he starts failing the good son test. He arrives, and the warden asks if he wants to see the body. The coffin is closed, but they can unscrew it. And Meursault just says, no.
Right, and think about the social pressure in that moment. The warden expects a performance of grief. He expects Meursault to want that final look.
Of course.
When Meursault declines, the guy's just confused. He asks why. And Meursault says, I really couldn't say. It's not that he's disgusted, he just doesn't see the point.
Then he does something that seems so minor, but it gets brought up later like it's a capital crime. He smokes a cigarette and drinks some café au lait with the caretaker during the vigil.
To Meursault, it's logical. He's tired, he's been on a bus, he likes coffee. It's a physical need. But to the outside world, drinking coffee next to your dead mother's coffin looks monstrous.
He's more focused on the physical discomfort, the glare of the white walls, the heat, the droning voices of the old people. He compares them to parakeets.
Yeah, that image is so telling. And then you get this perfect contrast with the character of Thomas Perez.
Right. Perez.
The mother's fiancé. And Perez is doing everything right. He insists on walking in the funeral procession under that blazing sun. He's limping, he's fainting from the heat, tears are streaming down his face. He is a mess of grief.
He's suffering, physically and emotionally. Meanwhile, Meursault is just annoyed by the sun.
And this brings us to the core philosophy Camus is playing with here, the absurd. Meursault lives in a world that has no inherent meaning. Most of us try to impose meaning on death. We say she's in a better place, or we must honor her memory.
We tell ourselves a story.
Exactly. Meursault just sees a biological fact. She was alive, now she's dead. He's tired, he wants to sleep. He refuses to fake an emotion he doesn't feel just to comfort the people around him.
Which brings us to the very next day. The funeral is on a Friday. He comes back to Algiers, sleeps for like 12 hours, wakes up Saturday morning, and thinks,
Time for a swim.
yeah. It's wild. The juxtaposition is so jarring. Less than 24 hours after the burial, he's at the public beach.
And he runs into Marie Cardona, a woman who used to work in his office.
And they hit it off, they swim, there's a lot of physical flirting. He's clearly attracted to her.
And again, look at what drives him. It's all sensory. The cool water, the sun, the feeling of her body. He lives entirely in the present tense. There is no past, his mother is yesterday, and no future. There is only now.
And this part is just so disastrous for him later. They go on a date that night, and they see a comedy, a Fernando movie.
A slapstick comedy, laughing in the dark while his mother is freshly in the ground.
But for him, it's just Saturday. He explicitly says, "It occurred to me that somehow I'd got through another Sunday, that mother now was buried, and tomorrow I'd be going back to work as usual. Really nothing in my life had changed."
That line is terrifying to a lot of people. Nothing had changed. We want death to matter. We want it to stop the world. Meursault just admits that it doesn't.
So he and Marie start this relationship, and Marie, she's trying to figure him out. She asks him the big question, "Do you love me?"
And Meursault gives the most honest and probably most damaging answer possible. He says it meant nothing, but he suppose he didn't.
I mean, can you imagine hearing that? And then she asks if he wants to marry her, and he's just like, "Sure, if you want to."
He literally says it makes no difference to him. He's treating marriage like choosing a restaurant. You pick. But notice, he's not trying to be cruel. He's not playing hard to get. He just lacks the vocabulary of romantic love. He sees a physical partnership, and if the label for that is marriage, then fine.
This passivity is what gets him into real trouble. He drifts into this friendship with his neighbor, Raymond.
And Raymond is bad news. He says he's a warehouseman, but it's pretty clear he's a pimp.
Yeah. Raymond is aggressive, he's insecure, he's violent, he's been in a fight with his mistress, and he wants to punish her. So he asks Meursault to write a letter for him.
A letter to lure her back so he can humiliate her.
And Meursault just writes it. He doesn't ask questions. He doesn't say, "Hey, maybe don't beat up women." He just agrees because, and this is his reason for everything.
Hey, no reason not to.
Exactly. That phrase is his entire moral compass, the path of least resistance. He testifies for Raymond after the police get involved. He becomes an accomplice not out of malice, but just inertia.
And it's this inertia that drags him to the beach on that Sunday.
Okay, let's set the scene for the crime. It's the weekend. Raymond invites Meursault and Marie to a friend's beach house, but they're being followed by a group of Arabs, one of whom is the brother of the woman Raymond beat up.
So there's this thick layer of tension. And Camus just turns the heat up to 11 here. The sensory details are overwhelming. The sand is glowing red. The light is splintering into flakes of fire.
It's suffocating. There's a brawl. Earlier in the day, Raymond gets cut with a knife. Later, Meursault goes back to the beach alone. He has Raymond's revolver in his pocket.
Which is ironic because he took it to stop Raymond from using it earlier.
Right. So he's walking alone. The heat is pressing down on him. He's just trying to find a cool spring of water behind a rock. But the Arab is there.
It's a standoff. The Arab draws a knife. And the way Camus describes this, the light reflects off the steel and it, stabs Meursault in the forehead. He says the symbols of the sun were crashing against his skull.
It sounds like a hallucination. He's blinded by sweat.
It's total sensory overload. Meursault isn't thinking, "I'm going to kill this man." He's thinking, "The sun is hurting me." His whole body tenses. He grips the revolver. And then Camus writes this fascinating line, "The trigger gave."
The trigger gave. Not, "I pulled the trigger."
Exactly. It's passive. It's mechanical. It's as if the sun itself forced the action. The gun goes off. One shot.
But then he pauses. And this is the part that just destroys his self-defense claim.
It's everything.
After the pause, he fires 4 more times into the body.
That pause is the moment of consciousness. The first shot was maybe an accident of the sun.
Yeah.
The next 4, Meursault calls them knocking 4 quick, loud raps on the door of undoing. He knows in that moment he has destroyed everything.
So he's arrested. And this brings us to the second half of the book, the trial. And I have to say, this trial felt like a fever dream. It's just absurd.
It is the theater of the absurd in a courtroom. The investigation starts with the magistrate, who gets so frustrated because Meursault won't fake regret. The magistrate actually pulls out a crucifix and waves it in Meursault's face.
He's screaming at him, calls him Mr. Antichrist. It's almost funny in a very dark way. You've got this murderer, and the judge is more offended by his lack of religion than the actual dead body.
Because Meursault threatens his entire worldview. If Meursault feels no regret and fears no God, then the magistrate's world stops making sense.
But the trial itself, it goes even further off the rails. The prosecutor barely even talks about the murder.
Barely. He spends the entire trial dissecting Mersault's behavior at the funeral.
This is the critical insight of the whole book, right?
It is. Mersault is not on trial for killing the Arab. He is on trial for being a stranger to society.
Yeah.
The prosecutor brings up the Café au lait. He brings up the cigarette. He brings up the Fernandel movie.
He argues that Mersault has what was the phrase? A criminal heart.
A criminal heart, yeah. That he buried his mother with the heart of a criminal.
I mean, the leap of logic is astounding, but you can see how it would work on a jury.
Oh, absolutely. The prosecutor even connects Mersault to a completely unrelated parricide case, a man who killed his father that's being tried the next day. He argues that Mersault's moral emptiness paves the way for all crimes. He becomes a monster, not because he shot a man, but because he doesn't perform the right emotions.
And Mersault is just sitting there, sweating, listening to them discuss his soul. He says it feels like they're talking about someone else.
And his own lawyer tells him to just be quiet. Marie's testimony backfires. It's a total disaster.
So the verdict is inevitable, guilty, and the sentence is so specific. He is to be decapitated in a public place in the name of the French people.
The guillotine. It's brutal. It's the ultimate act of removal. Society is just cutting off the infected limb.
So now we're in the final stretch. Mersault is in his cell waiting for the execution. And this is where the book slows down and gets really internal.
It does. At first, he's still attached to the world. He misses cigarettes. He misses women. But slowly, he learns patience. He remembers his mother saying that one gets used to anything. He spends hours just listing every object in his old room in his mind.
But the real climax, the emotional explosion of the entire book, isn't the murder. It's when the chaplain visits him.
The chaplain is the final attempt by society to reclaim Mersault. He comes in, uninvited, and tries to get him to turn to God. He talks about an afterlife, divine justice.
And Mersault has just had enough. He snaps. He grabs the chaplain by the collar of his cassock and just screams at him. It's the first time we see any real passion from him.
It's a damn breaking. He rejects all of the chaplain's certainties. He yells that the chaplain is living like a corpse. He's so obsessed with the next life that he isn't even alive in this one.
Yeah.
Mersault, facing death, feels more alive than the priest.
He talks about this dark wind. I found that image so haunting. He says a dark wind has been blowing toward him from the future his entire life.
And that dark wind is death, the inevitability of it. Mersault argues that everyone is privileged because everyone is condemned. We're all on death row. Some of us just have a longer stay of execution.
Whether he dies now or in 20 years, the result is the same. The dark wind levels everything.
Exactly. It sounds bleak, but after he yells all this, he calms down. The chaplain leaves. And when he wakes up under the stars, he has this incredible epiphany.
It's a beautiful passage. He thinks of his mother again, and he finally understands why she took a fiancé at the end of her life. She was so close to death that she was ready to start over. She was free.
And Mersault feels that freedom, too. He says he opens his heart to the benign indifference of the universe.
That phrase is the key to the whole book. Benign indifference.
It is. The universe isn't cruel. It's not out to get him. It just doesn't care. The stars don't judge him. The rain doesn't judge him. The universe is indifferent, just like he is. And in that shared indifference, he finds a sort of brotherhood. He realizes he has been happy, and he is happy still.
It's such a strange kind of happiness, finding comfort in the fact that nothing matters. But then we get to that very last wish, the final lines. He hopes for a huge crowd at his execution, and he hopes they greet him with howls of execration, howls of hatred. Why? Why does he want to be hated?
Because the hatred proves he's real. If they hate him, it means he has remained true to himself to the very end. He hasn't broken, he hasn't repented just to make them feel better.
So their hatred confirms his identity.
It does. He is the stranger. The crowd's hatred is the final confirmation that he refused to participate in their play. By hating him, they acknowledge him.
It's like a final act of rebellion. I will not give you the satisfaction, Michael.
Precisely. He accepts his role as the ultimate outsider.
Wow. It leaves you with a really uncomfortable question, doesn't it? We like to think we value truth, but Mersault is a man who told the truth about his feelings, or his lack of them, and we chopped his head off for it.
It suggests that society values order and conformity far more than it values strict honesty. We need people to perform the expected emotions so that we all feel safe. Mersault is the glitch in the system.
It makes you wonder how many little performances we all put on every single day, just to avoid, well, to avoid the guillotine, metaphorically.
It certainly does. The stranger asks us, would you rather be accepted for a lie or condemned for the truth? Marsault made his choice.
A heavy question for a heavy book. But that is why we do this. Thanks for walking through the heat with us today.
A pleasure.
We'll see you on the next deep dive. Take care.